Hi Haripriya, Assistant Professor, Department of English. Let us discuss one of the best beloved of the English literature, a part of the canon of English literature, an engaging and thoughtful writer, Charles Lamb. His elegant prose made him a major essayist of the Romantic era. His essays have delighted generations of readers, and his literary criticism testifies to his perceptiveness. One of the most famous quotes of Charles Lamb is, "My motto is contented with little, yet wishing for more." The meaning of this quote is, we need to be grateful for what we have, but still ambitious so that we are still able to progress in life. Let us know more about the author of these words in detail. Charles Lamb was born on 10th February 1775 and died on 27th December 1834. He was an English essayist, critic, poet, playwright, and antiquarian. Antiquarian, it is somewhat relating to or dealing in antiques or rare books. The readers or the audiences remembers Charles Lamb as a prose writer rather than of a poet or critic or an antiquarian. Charles achieved lasting fame as a writer during the years 1820 to 1825, when he captivated the discerning English reading public with his personal essays in the London magazine collected as Essays of Elia and the Lost Essays of Elia. He is most remembered for his essays. He was a much more talented prose stylist than poet. E.V. Lucas praised him as the most lovable figure in English literature, and Lamb was rightly called as the Prince of English essayists. Elia is the pseudonym of Charles Lamb. Actually, that was first used by him in his work Southsea House. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Robert Southey, William Wordsworth, and William Hazlitt, these writers were very famous personalities during the Romantic Age. Coleridge, William Wordsworth, Southey, and William Hazlitt, they were very good friends of Charles Lamb. Charles Lamb studied in Christ Hospital. Actually, that was a charity boarding school. This school was mentioned in many of his essays, like Christ Hospital 5 and 30 years ago, the autobiography of Leigh Hunt, and also in the work of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Biographia Literaria. Charles Lamb supported romantic dismissal of the theatre. He argues that Shakespeare should be read, which means the works of Shakespeare should be read rather than performed, in order to protect Shakespeare from butchering by mass commercial performances. Lamb's first essays are the nearest of all to poetry. This was said by Samson. Why he called like this means because the works of Lamb's were effortless and spontaneous overflow of his feelings. Wordsworth, in his work, he said that the poetry is spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So in that sense, Samson said that Lamb's works were nearest to all of poetry. Lamb's essays expresses sincere feelings of the author. The substance of what he writes is almost wholly drawn from himself, his experiences, his likes, his dislikes, whims, and prejudices. The subject matter of all his writing is Charles Lamb himself. Unlike the romantic essayist like Hazlitt, who was excited by the beauty of nature, Lamb was a great lover of London. Lamb considered the garden a suffocating prison. He never left London. Personality of Charles Lamb. It is related to his own family. His sister Mary Lamb suffered a period of mental illness, and Mary Lamb, she was seized with acute mania and stabbed her mother in the heart with a table knife. So there is no other way. Charles has to took care of his sister Mary Lamb, and because of his family commitments, he had never married. He lived a bachelor all his life in London. His famous work, Essays of Elia, that was a collection of essays. He published 2 volumes of essays. Essays of Elia, that was published in 1823, and Lost Essays of Elia, published in 1833. He wrote a series of essays which appeared in London Magazine from 1820 to 1825. Lamb's essays are as much an expression of the Romantic movement as the verse of Coleridge and William Wordsworth. Though his imagined persona, it's through his imagined persona, Lamb engaged the audience with humor, honesty, and reflections. Let us discuss about form and structure of the essays of Charles Lamb. Lamb was a subjective writer. He was not an objective writer, he was a subjective writer. All his essays are personal essays. He is essentially a romantic in the days of the Romantic movement. He is also a critic and interpreter of life. He does not sound the depth of life, but is interested revealing to us its joy and beauty. Lamb's essays are very personal. They possess humor and pathos like most romantic works of literature. His essays are famous for various reasons such as genial humor, touching pathos, humanitarian outlook, practical common sense, nobility and gentility of nature. Hazlitt, Lamb and Leigh Hunt were the splendid trio of contemporaries. They brought a change over the spirit of the essay. And other miscellaneous works of Charles Lamb. It is Tales from Shakespeare, that was a collection of outline talks of 21 dramas of Shakespeare, and specimens of English dramatic poets, that was an anthology of 90 Elizabethan plays, and a Tale of Rosamund Grey, that was a prose romance, a story of a young man named Alan Clare, who loves Rosamund, but their relationship comes to nothing because of her sudden death. So let us see the notable work of Charles Lamb, Tales from Shakespeare. That was children's book. He wrote it in simple prose in collaboration with his sister Mary Lamb. Mary Lamb was responsible for retelling the comedies and Charles the tragedies. The credit of this work goes more to more to his sister, who wrote 14 comedies, than to Charles, who wrote only 6 tragedies. Both of them, they omitted historical and Roman plays. Why it is so means they chose to retell in a manner sensitive to the needs of young children. So subplots and sexual references were removed. The most important critical works of Charles Lamb, and he of course he proved his capacity for literary criticism with his essay on the tragedies of Shakespeare and specimens of English dramatic poets contemporary with Shakespeare. As we have already discussed in the previous slides, all his essays were personal essays, so autobiographical elements in his works. Lamb reveals much of himself indirectly and incidentally in his essays. His thinking heart finds a tale in everything that he saw or experienced. Like Montaigne, he is forever speaking of himself. Whenever he takes himself as a subject and touches on any aspect of his experience, he transforms it, and the total absence of self conscious vanity is unique in the matter of self revelation. He fell in love with Anne Simmons. Anne Simmons appears in several Elia essays under the name Alice M. For example, in the essays as The Dream Children, New Year's Eve, and Rosamund Grey. Lamb created a portrait of his father in his essay Elia on the Old Benches under the name Lowell. He bears large parts of his personal life in these essays. An account of his early education was expressed in The Christ Hospital. And in the Southsea House, in the essay of Southsea House, his experiences of past association and official life will be used. It was used. The Superannuated Man, that was also an essay published in Essays of Elia. It conveys the feeling of ennui and boredom that overtook him when he retired. Lamb's enjoyment of the vacation was in Oxford in the vacation, and the character of his grandmother, Mrs. Field, in Mrs. Battle's Opinions, the character sketch of his brother John and sister Mary in My Relations and Macri End in Hertfordshire. He cherishes his memory of old friends of his father in The Old Benches of the Inner Temple, and his sympathetic view about the class of the poor in On Chimney Sweepers and The Decay of Beggars. In the essay on some of the old actors, Lamb sympathizes with the comedian Dodd, who, though immensely popular during his acting career, died uncalled for after retirement. In the essay The Two Races of Men, Lamb praises not the thrifty man who spends less and saves more, but the spendthrift Ralph Bigod who borrowed money only to spend it on others. Charles Lamb was an inspiration for many writers. So a few examples are here. Lawyers, I suppose, were children once, taken from the essay of Charles Lamb, The Old Benches of Inner Temple. It serves as the epigraph to Harper Lee's famous novel To Kill a Mockingbird. Graham Greene used Tales from Shakespeare for a book quote in Our Man in Havana. Sir Edward Elgar wrote an orchestral work, Dream Children, inspired by Lamb's essay of that title. Lamb's style. The style of Lamb's essays is gently old-fashioned. The style of Lamb's essays is gently old-fashioned and irresistibly attractive, especially found of old writers. His essays, infused with a gently old-fashioned allure, showcase his admiration for old writers and the influence of early English dramatists. Inspired by Montaigne, he creates a collection of literary appreciation, character sketches, fantasies, and personal experiences, all reflecting his unique perspective. Lamb uses quotations from well-known English and European writers in support of his arguments. His prose is often compared with the poetry of Keats and Shelley. He is a visualizer of memories. He talks rather than writes. He was master of humor and pathos. He combined the finest tenderness with quaintest fantasies. Lamb's humor, humanity, and the sense of pathos are all his own, and it is mainly these qualities which differentiate his essays from those of his contemporaries. His essays are rich alike in wit, humor, and fun. Thank you.